together, guys.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on this wonderful Sunday evening where I am, and maybe Sunday afternoon or Sunday night, wherever you are. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we get into any of our topics today and our panel mates, just want to make sure to let everybody know to like and subscribe, help us reach our 10K goal. We're looking to hit that hopefully by the end of the transfer window, which is 3 days away, unfortunately. And it's been a very quiet time, but maybe we might have a mad rush towards the end of the window. Who knows? Make sure you have your notifications on for all future streams and videos. It really helps out and you never miss any content as well. We're going to be doing a deep dive into some of the managerial positions that may be coming up for the Klopp departure. Yes, sadly, it is true, and I don't think he's going to be making a U-turn on it. But without further ado, I'll pass over to my panel mates. We see how everybody's doing following our 5-2 win today. Colin, how are you doing, my friend? Long time no see.
I know, it's been a minute. I'm doing quite well. Looking
all things considered.
yeah, literally. Other than this now perpetual state of depression that I will be in from now until the end of May. Otherwise doing well. Stephen, how do you feel about the 49ers later?
Oh, we'll get to that towards the end of this stream. We'll focus on the round football first before we focus on the egg ball. But I do have a lot of thoughts on that. I have a lot of thoughts on that, but we'll get to them later on. Rigo, my friend, how are you? It's been another minute since myself and you've been on the stream. How are you doing?
I know. I'm doing well, Steven. It's great to see you. Great to see you, Colin. Great to be on with you, Chad. Doing well, all things considered. Still coming to grips with the realization that we're in our last few matches with Jurgen at the helm, but want to look at all the silver linings possible, and you got to feel great about the squad, about the performances up and down, each and every player contributing to this. So just looking forward to the golden sky at the end of the year.
Exactly. It's on the silver lining that may be in it with a particular ex-player possibly coming back to be the manager. Fingers crossed. Chad, my friend, how are you? Long time no see as well. I've been away for a little bit with doing streams, but I'm back and I'm happy to have you here with us. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's funny. It's always a Man United supporter that's the first one to report it. I mean, I was in the office and then one of my colleagues, United fan, just showed me the thing, just ruined my whole day. So, getting used to the idea of, not having another member of the family at the end of the season. Yeah, it's but like everyone is saying, there's a lot of positives to take out of it. The way the team's playing, the way the squad's been set up. A lot of talk has been about who's the next manager, so like guys step up. And a lot of talk has been coming through about the squad that they're going to inherit, and the squad that they have is the best squad in the Premier League. Hopefully, they just don't fuck it up, I guess.
I suppose that's one way to put it. I completely agree with you. We were all kind of blindsided by the news last Friday when Jurgen Klopp obviously announced that he would be leaving Liverpool at the end of the season. His reasoning behind it was just he's burnt out. And to be perfectly honest with you, I can completely understand that. There's a multitude of reasons that could be found behind it. Obviously, going toe-to-toe with the financial giant, legitimately or not, it remains to be seen at the moment that City is. When you're constantly fighting a battle with one hand tied behind your back, not because of our owners, I'm not suggesting that whatsoever, but because of how somebody is able to circumvent the rules, and that's why you're fighting with one hand behind your back. It's a terrible, terrible situation, and you're constantly fighting an uphill battle. And we can't even begin to understand. We have a stressful day at work, and we come home, we're like, I just want to fucking quit. This man cannot switch off. 365, 24/7, the man cannot switch off, and he's done it for nearly 10 years now. And to be perfectly honest, in my own personal opinion, I've come to terms with it. Others may not have, others may still be in denial about it, but I've accepted the fact that he will be moving on, and we should start looking at other options now for the Liverpool 2.0 that Klopp has gifted us with in this season. But I'll get a couple of people's thoughts on the announcement itself. Rigo, I'll come to yourself first. Obviously, it was a bitter blow on Friday. It ruined everybody's weekend. But the question I'll throw to yourself is the reception that he received today. He looked almost as heartbroken as we did, didn't he?
Yes, for certain. been a huge part of his life, obviously, coming over from Borussia Dortmund and making the jump to the Premier League and doing things his way from the get-go. And he's been the true embodiment of Liverpool, the city, and Liverpool, the football club. And it's kind of hard to just imagine him not being there on the sidelines. The team we have now is, besides Joe Gomez, has been fully brought in by Jurgen and his staff, and his fingerprints are everywhere up and down the squad. Great point brought up by Haler as well. Vitor Matos, huge contributions in shaping of the squad. And it's somewhat poetic and apropos that he is stepping down at this moment, because I feel, in my honest opinion, this is the deepest squad he has had in his entire time at Liverpool, up and down. Everyone is contributing. There's no dead weight. Everyone's pulling along the same rope to lead us to silverware, and just the camaraderie and brotherhood you see with the lads is just incredible. They're all happy for each other. There seems to be zero jealousies throughout. Everyone's happy when the other guy scores, and they just cheer on, and that's just amazing to see. And if Liverpool 2.0 might be his biggest gift to us of all. I know we won the Premier League, we won the Champions League, we won every single trophy besides the Europa, which hopefully we do grab this year. But this squad and the years of success that he has laid out for the manager coming up is just unparalleled. I don't think there's a stronger squad in the Premier League than what we have, considering youth, considering the amount of veterans and just quality talent up and down the roster. So very, very sad. I woke up to it on Friday. It was 7 a.m. I wake up to get ready for work, and that's the news that's greeted to me. It's like waking up into a nightmare. But yeah, it's gonna take some time to process. But I'd love to hear the rest of the guys' thoughts on it.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. It was funny because I was lucky enough to get the Crystal Palace game on April 13th in the members' ballots, and I'm going to that game. He announced that he was leaving an hour after I had everything booked and paid for. It cost me about £550-600 to go over for a full weekend. I checked it half an hour after he had announced that he was leaving. The price had tripled in the space of a half an hour after he had announced it, which is absolutely mind-boggling. But we might have an LFC transfer room meet up and get together in Dublin for his last game if people can make it over to that. So hopefully, if anybody's about and anybody's there, sure, we might see people there. Colin, I'll throw it over to you as well. He seemed heartbroken on the sideline today, listening to You'll Never Walk Alone. And to be honest, it nearly brought a tear to my own eye as well. Just seeing him dejected, sat there, and just it is what it is. And he made his decision, and he kind of has to stick with it. Were you of a much of a similar, like, it's a bittersweet moment, we know it's coming to an end, kind of be happy that it happened rather than sad that it's ending?
Yes, but also, like, I am just sad. Like, I don't know that anyone besides us, and not just the four of us, but like us Liverpool fans, and especially I would think younger Liverpool fans who, even if you're not new, if even if I started following the club in like 2004, I think. From like everything that I can remember, I think it was around then. So I'm not new to loving Liverpool, but
yeah,
I didn't know a time, with Shankly. I didn't know a time with Paisley. Like, I didn't have connection to them in that way, and I don't think anybody else can understand. And I don't think Jurgen really can fully understand like what he means to us. And the way that he has impacted our lives. And I'll speak for myself in that the way he's impacted like my life in terms of not just like footballing, like love, but like how I think leaders should act, and how I see leadership in general. But like, it's more than that, too. The way that he became part of the city. And I saw someone, I can't remember which. I've watched so many like Klopp videos and read so many articles. I can't remember which one it is, but someone mentioned, like when he was hired, like he went out and just was like hanging out in pubs and just talking to people and like just trying to get an understanding of like who these people are and like why are they so passionate about this place and about this organization. And that, like, there are so few people in the world who would bother to do that. And frankly, I don't think that the next person who comes in or whomever the next manager is, I don't think we should expect that of them. Because I think we'll be let down. I think we'll be let down. I think the best that we should hope for is someone who is like a great manager of football. Like there's nobody who is going to be able to stand up to the like pillar of a community, whether it be an online community like we have, or obviously those who are able to go and be supporters in the ground. There's nobody who is going to be able to take that pillar and be able to fill those shoes. Like it's not going to exist. And I think it would be folly to try to find someone to fill the shoes in that way. So for that loss of like seeing him at the ground every weekend, seeing him out and around town, and like the video with him and Dara, like you're just not going to get that.
As an Irishman, that made I cried. I will happily be man enough to admit that a fellow countryman of mine was over there and received that reception from him, and genuinely brought me to tears, because him as such a young kid, and it's amazing how this kind of thing can stretch over generations, that he would be able to relate to the same things that my dad had witnessed, and I would be able to relate to the same thing that he had witnessed, similarly to you and your dad, Colin, that you mentioned in the chat as well, about how seeing the Steelers win their Super Bowls and seeing the Pirates win their World Series, nothing compared to seeing Liverpool win, purely because it was Klopp. And that was something beautiful that you mentioned in the chat, and I felt very similar to that as well.
And I can share that with everybody. I was speaking with my dad. I went over to my parents' house that night, and I was just sitting and speaking with my dad. And lifelong Pittsburghers. My dad was born in '67, so he has seen each the last two Pirates World Series. He's seen all six Steelers. Steelers championships, and then all five Penguins Stanley Cups, and there's nobody who, Chuck Noll won 4 Super Bowls. My dad said he's nothing compared to like Jurgen, and the way that Jurgen like was the embodiment of our like collective love for this club and for this community, and so it was. Honestly, it was really nice. My father and I are not always that poetic, but it was the meaning behind Jurgen, and it's larger than life, and I don't think that there's anybody who we can realistically ever expect to do that in the same way.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Whoever comes in, they just have to be their own person and be able to stand on their own 2 feet and be genuine. I think that, to be quite honest, was the biggest character trait that Jurgen brought to it. He was him all the way, spoke his mind the entire way, and always thought of his players first and foremost, and thought of the people behind the club first and foremost. Just like when he led the team out to clap for the fans, even after a loss or a draw, it was to show the fans the respect of and the appreciation of what it means to them. You play for the fans, and we are massive. It's not just Liverpool, the fans in the stands. We are massive, and as you can see from the panel here, we're all over the world. And to make that connection with the fan base, and to have it be like it's almost a living funeral at the moment, that we're in mourning that this man will no longer be pacing the sidelines and defending the shield. It is a big hit, but just has to be genuine and has to know what it truly means, what this club truly means to everyone involved.
Exactly. Chad, you've yet to chime in on this. I'll throw the same question to you. Watching the game today, I'm not sure if you watched it. He seemed very dejected on the sideline. He looked heartbroken at the fact that he has to leave us. Almost that he doesn't want to, but he knows he has to. It's the look of a man. Similarly, I don't know if you watched it, but similarly to how Jason Kelsey looked after the Eagles loss, the face of a man that promised himself that this was it, but didn't want to go out like that. Similar situation to that, but he doesn't. He's not gone out on a low yet, and fingers crossed that he doesn't. But he doesn't want to call it quits now. But he knows that he needs to go and live a normal life, as he said in the interview, and he's just tired right now. And you really couldn't blame him. A couple of your thoughts on him yourself, and how you feel about what you've seen today with how he was received. Obviously, he was going to be received beautifully, but I think it kind of touched the nerve and made it a little bit real for a lot of us.
Yeah, I mean, you watch the first minute of the game and you see the guys walking out, just seems like he's sitting there like as normal. But then you just hear the roar of "You Never Walk Alone," and even through watching it through this TV screen, you can feel the atmosphere there. And when the camera pans to him, it just makes you it makes your heart ache, because his heart's aching. Coming as a second generation Liverpool fan, my dad used to fill my head with all of the days of Shankly and Paisley and so on and so forth. So Jurgen for me was always a second kind of coming of my father, in a sense. When my dad and I used to watch the games, you could see the similarities between the two people, the passion, the love for the club. I mean, coming from South Africa, we're far away from Liverpool. I don't even know when was the last time Liverpool came and toured in South Africa. So, we haven't actually been around Liverpool as some people might have, but the love and the joy and the passion is still it's like we were there. It's like we are a part of that that city and that culture. Coming as a Liverpool fan, miles away from the stadium, miles away from the city, So, like I said on Friday, when the news hit, I was at work, and a colleague of mine had to come through and spoil my whole day. And when it hit, it kind of hit like it was like, how can I say? And I don't want to go too deep, but it's like my father passing. It's a kind of a piece of him also going as well. It's another piece of my dad going, in a sense. So it's it was like it was kind of it was a lot. It was a lot. And not a lot of people understand it. People will see you and think like, why are you getting emotional? It's just the guy going out of a job, going into another job. So, but it's more than that. It's the way he cultivates everyone, the way he brings everyone together, the way he puts his heart on his sleeve, makes you want to jump through the screen and just hug the man and be around that kind of energy. And that's Jurgen Klopp for us. And we felt I was looking, after I saw the interview, I was looking back at all of the inside Anfield's inside trainings, trying to get like a glimpse of, where his head was at that time and stuff like that, and try to feel what he was feeling at those moments. And everything was, he's doing it for the job. Nothing was about him. Everything was about the team. You look at the way his expressions are, the way his gestures are, everything was about the team. He never let anyone into his own domain in terms of his decision-making in his life and his way of going out, and when he came through on Friday, it was a bit of a shock, because we all thought, end of the season, he's built a proper team. He's going to lead that team to success. Early on in the season, we were all talking about next season is going to be the season where we win everything. Next season, the season where, this team that he's building is going to come to fruition. This team that he's building is going to come to the peak of its powers, and it's going to dominate the league and dominate everything. And so when the announcement came, it was just like a whole twist, like out of nowhere. Like, how can you get us this hopeful and then just break us down like that? But it's an understanding. You have to understand at the end of the day, this man's been at the job for 9 years. It's a very difficult job, especially when you have a whole country that you have to fight against in terms of Man City. So, it takes a lot of you, drains a lot out of you. And like I said in my early statement was, whoever comes next, and I am a romantic at all. I am. And when I see this, I see him as a modern day Bill Shankly, in a sense that he's built the club and built a foundation that the next person, all he has to do is build off of that foundation, just like Bill Shankly did. And when Bob Paisley came in, he built around what Shankly did. And that's the key about it. And, a lot of people, they don't really get that idea of, there's no such thing as another Bill Shankly, another Bob Paisley. It's not about the person. It's about what that person actually does. And what Klopp did was he built that foundation for the next man to be the Bob Paisley. We're not expecting a Bob Paisley next. We're expecting someone to build off of that foundation and reap the rewards of all of the hard work that Klopp put through and went through. I mean, I don't feel like anyone here would have any issue had Klopp said at the end of last season that he's gonna resign and move on, just based off what the season was. And all of us would have been like, okay, we understand the season was cut. There must have been a horrible kind of realization that he might not be at that prime position anymore in his career. He might not have the ideas and the drive and the goal and ambition to do that anymore. So. And then for him to turn around and go, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make sure, even if I do not succeed this season, I'm going to build a team and build a foundation so that the next man can do it. So I can leave like he says, he left the place better than he found it. And that's that's why you love Jurgen Klopp. That statement alone is why you love Liverpool and why you love Jurgen Klopp. Because he's leaving the place better than he found it. Before he came, Liverpool was in shambles. And, you can go through the internet and you can hear all of the other professionals tell you about it. But that's the true fact. And for him to leave it as the way he's going to leave it at the end of the season, hopefully with 4 trophies, hopefully with his head up high and celebrating and drinking on the team bus, celebrating across the town, and hopefully I'm there, God willing. But that emotion that we're going to get at the end of the season is just going to be, it's just a deep cut, I think. And I'm not sad. Honestly, I'm not sad that he's leaving. I'm not happy that he's leaving, but I'm grateful that he was here and I got to experience that. I got to experience my own Bill Shankly. I got to get an opportunity to tell my kids about the Bill Shankly that I met, and his name is Jurgen Klopp. So, for me, I'm just grateful to be able to see it and be able to witness it. And every single match now is just going to be even more happy and more glad and more joyful and more triumphant. And it's just going to be a blast this last round of the season. I mean, even it's so special that even Thiago came out of the woodworks to be a part of the squad again. So if that's happening, it's a big occasion. So it's I'm just happy to be a part of the Liverpool Football Club.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Helier mentioned something here in relation, and I think Colin, you mentioned it as well, and I think a couple of other people alluded to the fact of it. The feeling is like a funeral. Do you mourn the loss, or do you just celebrate the time and the good moments? In Ireland, we have a very funny look on death. And I don't mean to sound morbid here, but we have a very funny look on death in this country that we sort of, not to sound too cliche or cringy about it, but we greet death with a smile and a laugh. And the way Irish funerals work is that there's a wake. And at this wake, everybody gets absolutely polluted drunk, sings songs, celebrates the person's life, and sends them off on a happy note. A lot of people quite literally in their wills demand no crying at their funeral and greet death with a great sense of humor. And this is, for lack of a better term, it's the death of the Jurgen Klopp era at Liverpool. But I, for one, will not be looking at it with a somber note. I, for one, will be looking at it with a very, very happy note. That it is a beautiful thing that we've witnessed, as Chad mentioned. We've witnessed our own Shankly in our own lifetime. We've witnessed our own Paisley in our own lifetime. We've witnessed our own Dalglish in our own lifetime. And it's something that we have to share with elder fans and something that we can pass on to younger fans. And it connects generations the whole way through, which is something that I absolutely believe is unbelievably beautiful. But we'll move on from fawning over Klopp, because there's going to be plenty of that over the next couple of months. I'm 100% sure. Jen, I do apologize getting late to this, but thank you so much for the £4.99. It really helps the channel. It all goes back towards the channel to make more content for you guys. We were kind of in our feelings there, so I kind of just let it roll a little bit, but thank you so much for funding the January transfer window. It might just get put into kitty for the summer transfer window. We don't know yet, but we may surprise you, considering what may come up in the next couple of days. We have been known to do deals very quickly, and it is coming to squeaky bum time, so it might be time for us to splash the cash on a deal, possibly.
perhaps some players just jumping at the chance just to have 6 months with Klopp, or like,
Yeah,
move me now.
yeah, exactly. Gonzalo
Just so they
Inacio,
can say
Gonzalo
I've been
Inacio.
there.
I think it's actually screwed us a little bit for January transfers, but I think it'll actually, the club has known since November, so I think the next person that's coming in. Go ahead, Grigo. Sorry.
Do we need January transfers?
I don't think so.
Considering who's coming back, no. Realistically, I thought we would have, but the young guys really have stepped up in a way that none of us really could have envisioned. And we'll get on to them guys in a minute. At the moment, like, we have Kwanzaa, who saved the club about 80 million. Bradley's come in and saved the club another couple of tens of million. Chambers is definitely looking very well. McConnell today, absolutely fantastic with a pinpoint cross. He very clearly could be a good performer there as well. Then we have the likes of Joe Gomez too, who's still here. And Rigo, I will hold my hands up. I called him out at the start of the season when I was on one of my first streams with you many moons ago, and I said he should be fired from a cannon. But he has performed. But I did have a caveat of saying if he can bring back his form of 2019, which he has done, and he has done fantastically. And this is the first time I actually get to say it to you in person or over a stream. So I do hold my hands up and say that I was wrong about him, but I'm happy that I was wrong about him. Joe Gomez has been the unsung hero, the Scottie Pippen, the Dennis Rodman of The Last Dance, if you want to call it that, who has done the dirty work, similarly to Curtis Jones, who's really hit a run of form lately. 5 goals and 4 assists in all competitions so far. Absolutely beautiful. It's wonderful to watch, and we'll get into a couple of the guys that are there. I don't particularly think we need transfers, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to present a couple of the I'm going to share my screen here now, and I'm going to pull up where are we? So Connor Bradley himself specifically. So I'm going to come back in here, and this is where you're getting your production value from LFC Transfer Room. We do love to see it. As we can see here, Connor Bradley in his game by the numbers against Norwich, 113 touches, ridiculous. 92% passing accuracy, 5 ground duels run, 3 key passes, 3 big chances created, 2 of which were assists. Colin, have we found another Trent?
Yeah, apparently.
Like,
he's been so good. It's actually hilarious. Like, we don't and then we could just Trent just play midfield. It's fine. Like, we don't need another midfielder. Like, just Trent just go play midfield. Like, we have another starting right back. We're good. It's unbelievable job by the academy. Everyone involved across all of the youngsters. Like, there was 5 youngsters in the last 2 weeks who, at least in the last 2 to 3 weeks, who've played unbelievably, all over the pitch. Couldn't be happier. But Bradley especially today, especially the last game, has been unbelievable.
Yeah, Rigo, I see you sort of attempting to pump the brakes there a little bit on us crowning him as the next Trent, but let us live on recency bias. What do you think? Would you be of a similar vein of thought that maybe he looks like Trent did back then, not like Trent is now? If that makes sense.
Outstanding. The biggest things to me that jump out when watching him, he doesn't seem bothered by any type of situation out on the field. He's unfazed. Came in late against Arsenal, completely bossed and dispossessed Martinelli a couple of times. Held his own. So it all bodes terrifically. What this does, in my opinion, it allows us to move away from Joe being the one constant that has to come in and sub in for Trent, or come in and have Trent move up the pitch. Now we have Bradley, and allows us to be a lot more versatile. And also keep in mind all those minutes. Trent, he's still young, but he's played a ton of minutes coming up through these last few years, and obviously playing under Klopp. Those are high intensity, high mileage on those legs. So it gives us another option to relieve that pressure on Trent. Allows us to shift Trent up in to midfield late on in matches if we're looking for a goal, or for him just to be creative and let loose and have fun. And I think it's another quill in it for Jurgen at the moment and whoever manager's coming up. So I wouldn't be so quick to crown him as the starter. I would just like to say he's going to fall into a rotation now that'll maximize everyone's capabilities, keep everybody fresh, and keep the opponents guessing. So that would be my take on it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not sort of I maybe I phrased the question the wrong way, as in he's not Trent now, but he has the potential to be. You can clearly see there's a high ceiling there. It's very evident that the boy has skills. It's very evident that he could be a Premier League starting right back with the right development and with years on his body. He's not Trent now at the age of 25, and Trent is is the best right back in the world. But Conor Bradley could very much be that in 6 years' time if he gets the right development. But we could say that about any player. We've all seen Nico Williams. We've been there. We've done that. We've seen comps before like that and crowning players a little bit too early.
The thing with Nico, though, I think he got us ahead of his own development. He thought he was better than what he currently was, and I don't think he was willing to bide his time and wait for those opportunities. Connor, just the vibes he gives off, and what the guys that their reactions to him, and what you hear from them chatting him up, he seems like a guy who just wants to do the work and earn his minutes on there. So I think kind of a different mindset than Nico. I think Nico probably a little bit more ego. At least, from my perspective.
Well, yeah, I'd agree with you on that. He seems to head down, play for the club, play for the badge, and that's him. He gets in, clocks in, does his job, clocks out. No funny business. That's him. He takes the minutes he gets, and he's happy with them for the moment, because obviously he knows Trent Alexander-Arnold is ahead of him. He's not getting too big of a head to think that he should be ahead of him already. Chad, similar question to yourself. Like, have we found another gem at right back through the academy, and a couple of your thoughts on the academy standouts so far this season that we've had, like Kwanzaa, Bradley, Chambers, McConnell. This game I thought was fantastic. We've Doak, and then we obviously have Pitaluga as well, who's currently playing over in Ireland at the moment.
Yeah, I kind of disagree slightly with the guys when it comes to the comparisons of Trent. I don't think he's a Trent. I think he's a right-sided Robertson. The way he moves, the way he plays, the way he views the game, it's not Trent in the sense that he wants to attack the game fully. He fully understands that he has a defensive role, and he's very committed to that defensive role. It's very similar to Robertson. You just see him bombing down that flank again, like similar to Robertson's side. I don't see him as a Trent. I see him as a Trent and Robertson combined, in the sense that he can play the ball in like Trent, but he does his job like Robertson does, and he makes sure that he no one gets past him, no one takes advantage of him being out of position and stuff like that. So again, another gem that Liverpool Football Club has produced. It's all down to the recruitment, I feel. You've got Kwanzaa, you've got Curtis Jones, you've got Harvey Elliott, you've got McConnell. Absolutely phenomenal in the six. He looks so comfortable. I mean, after the first few minutes, obviously, the vibe of being at Anfield, starting your first game, kind of got him with a few passes getting loose. But, he started getting himself back into the rhythm of the game, started getting comfortable and confident. That ball to Curtis, beautiful, very precise, very accurate, very adept to someone that feels like they've been in that role for a long time. So it kind of bodes well to his confidence and the way and the confidence that the coaching staff has given him. So, that's another plus. I've been picking up McConnell from the preseason. I saw him in preseason a couple of games, and I felt like he just looks comfortable on the ball in that position. It looks like he's ready to take on a few more games. We've got Watford next game in the FA Cup, so again, that may be another opportunity to put him in. Bobby Clark, another player. Again, brilliant on the ball. He looks like a younger Curtis Jones. He just needs to work on a few things. He can play with the ball at his feet. He can, attack players when he needs to, find the spaces when he needs to. Again, it's just the final passes, just the final movements that he needs to work on. But another stunning player we've got in Ben Doak. Kwanzaa, I don't think you have to say much about Kwanzaa. He just looks like an outstanding young player. He looks like he's going to be the next centre-back for Liverpool Football Club. And again, this just bodes well for whoever comes in. I mean, it's just going to be too hard for you to mess up something that's so beautifully presented to you, in the sense that you have a good core of young players that are coming in that has minutes in the game and has confidence to play in the game. You could core with the best goalkeeper in the world in Alisson. You got one of the best centre backs in Van Dijk, if not the best centre back in Van Dijk. Again, the front line is smashing it. Jota scoring absolutely unnecessary goals. People would have taken that ball down. He hit it on the first and a half volley. He tried it 3 more times during the game. Obviously, he scored his 1 goal. He doesn't need to score anymore. He's not trying to show off too much. You got Darwin Núñez again getting consistent. So everything that is going on at Liverpool is everything that needs to happen for us to continue to grow and to continue to be successful. I mean, there's still a lot of quality that still has to come back. You've got Carvalho, you've got Tyler Morton, 2 of the youngsters that are bring some of the outstanding players in the Championship. I mean, Tyler Morton comes into the team and looks like a fantastic 6. You've still got Bajcetic still needs to come back. So there's a lot that you can be smiling about. There's a lot that you can be laughing at Man United, saying that when Fergie left, you guys were shit, and now we are in a way better position than you guys were. So there's a lot for us to be excited about, and these youngsters, I feel like they're just going to continue to grow. I don't see Klopp going like, okay, now it's the business end of the season. I need to stop putting like the more senior players in. I don't think that's his mentality. He's going to continue playing these guys. The only issue that I might have now is because of the length that Robertson's been out and Trent and Szoboszlai, the way the team was morphed or the way Klopp adapted his tactics to fit in these guys. When you saw Robertson come on, or maybe it's due to a little bit of rust, but you saw the formation kind of deformed in the sense that it went back to the old 4-4-2, whereas when Gomez is playing, Gomez is always the one playing in the inverted role, and then you've got Bradley that tries to invert, but he doesn't go too far in. So yeah, it's about how the team can adapt with the new guys, with the young guys, as well as the old vets coming back into the team. And that's I feel like will be the biggest issue that we might have this season. It's just getting the cohesion in the team and allowing everyone to continue with this form. I just see big things for our team.
I do as well. Rigo, myself and yourself have been the kings of the Darwin Núñez fan club in the group through highs, lows of the roller coaster that has been the Darwin Núñez season. And this just kind of rings true to everything. I think we've unlocked him. And I called this at the start of the season that if we unlock Darwin Núñez, we win the Premier League. And as you can see here, an assist versus Newcastle, 2 assists at Fulham, 2 goals at Bournemouth, and a goal against Norwich with a fantastically placed bottom corner finish. Realistically, he's 21 goal contributions so far this season, 11 goals and 10 assists. It is, and in all competitions, this is including international, he has more non-penalty goals than Erling Haaland. Mm-hmm. Quick fun stat for everybody, and you can fact check me on that if you want. But
21 goal contributions in 33 matches. I think that's a pretty good return there.
I mean, what more can you ask of him at the moment? Look, he misses chances, we get that, but he creates so much. And myself and you have been the head of the Darwin Núñez fan club in that group chat, along with Richie, who hosts on a Saturday, and a few others too. But realistically, how happy are you that he's now getting his flowers? He got a standing ovation coming off against Norwich today.
I think the one thing that we seem to disconnect, unfortunately, is in the stands and at the stadiums, he has never faltered for support. He's always been cheered on, and he's always cheered the crowd, regardless of his performance, whether he hit the post and didn't score or bagged a goal. So that's never been in question. I think now the spotlight, unfortunately, that they've been trying to shine on him for missing chances, etc., or being labeled a flop, which is absolutely ridiculous. They can't go with that because he's just putting up numbers. And what you said before, that we've unlocked Darwin, you can also say Darwin has unlocked Liverpool as well, because now our press is pretty much back to the levels of our height under Jurgen. And to me, besides scoring goals, that's the best part of watching us play. I just love when our press is working, we're attacking the ball, and as soon as we give up the ball, we earn it right back. And you just see players crowding whoever has the pill and just absolutely making them nervous, having goalies kick the ball out of bounds, having bad decisions come about, and that creates just a ton of chances. So I think it goes both ways. We've unlocked Darwin. He has unlocked us, and we are at our best when he's on the pitch. We've seen it time and time again. He hasn't started. We look super stagnant, lack of creating chances. He comes on, boom, boom. He might not be the one that scores, but it opens it up for somebody else. And it's just very, very good to see that the faith that the Jurgen has placed on him, and they obviously brought him in and paid that transfer fee because they saw that potential. They saw the person that Darwin is and could become as far as football player is being rewarded. So I think, us as those fans who didn't believe need to be a little bit more patient and also have a little bit more faith in those who are making the moves. They see these players day in, day out. They've been supporting them day in, day out. Klopp has been singing his praises like crazy, and again, not for on the ball stuff, but for all the off the ball contributions that he's making, and it's just amazing to see, and I'm very happy to see it, just like you are, Steve.
Yeah, it's beautiful to see, and Colin, it's a funny one to look at because he's getting his flowers now from the online community as well as to accompany the community, the at the match community at the moment. But it's really, really nice to see, and obviously you've sang his praises as well. But like as somebody mentioned here in the chat, I'll see if I can find it. Nunes is young, whereas Jamie was mentioning, and I'm just blocking out your face at the moment. I do apologize. I'll have your pretty face back in the stream now in 2 seconds. Nunes at 28 should be awesome. He's young, he's developing, and there's something that you cannot question with him, and that's the effort. And then it was not sure if it was Kevin Durant or Kobe Bryant that said it. It'd be ironic if it was Kevin Durant that said it, that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And there's something that you will never question with Darwin Núñez, and that's his hard work. His off the ball stuff and the stuff that he doesn't show up in a stat sheet is what got him the starting position that he's in at the moment. Are you happy? You're obviously very happy for him. Of course you are. You support every team, support every player that's on the team, but it's just nice to see him getting his flowers and seeing him happier and more confident, and just he seems to be happier, and I think that's feeding a lot into it. He seems to be a very emotionally driven player.
Yeah, absolutely. And I certainly haven't been on the board of the Darwin Núñez fan club, but I've been in this corner the whole time. Patience is just so undervalued, especially with players, and especially when they are deceivingly young. It was pointed out, like, he's not old. I think when it wasn't clicking for him at times last season, and I think a lot of that, and maybe off the ball work, it kind of appeared as though he wasn't working hard. Maybe that struck me as confusion rather than like lack of desire to do the hard work. Like he was just not fully sure of what he should be doing and how he should be doing it, rather than a lack of desire to do the work. And I think now that we have seen more time, clearly whatever communication levels have been achieved, like, have absolutely worked. The pressure that has been created by the front six in the last, I don't know, month and a half has been like suffocating teams, absolutely preventing teams from being able to play any sort of productive, really productive football. I think the only team who's been able to do so was, like, that comes off the top of my head, was Arsenal. And like, that's no surprise to me that they're like one of the only people who were able to do so. He's a phenomenal player, and I think it was alluded to in, I can't remember which, whether it was directly from like Jurgen from the club, but someone alluded to the fact that, like, he's a young man who is online, Darwin, and like sees criticism and is affected by that. Like, we know he is an emotional player and someone who rides off of those highs and sometimes is hindered by the lows. I just think that that extra time, that extra communication level, and frankly, like maturity, like will continue to like polish this stone. And it will be a diamond. Like he is when he's on, he's impossible to like try to think about playing against for a full 90 minutes. Like it's like, as someone who was a defender, like I played right back and right wing, like thinking about having to pick up him running like off of the center back and behind me like for 90 minutes like actually makes me sick. That sounds like the worst assignment possible. So whatever has like brought about these like positive changes for him, continue to like grow those. And I guess part of what you would want in a new management team is to have that kind of patience, to have that kind of understanding and man management, where, you know, just because he doesn't score, you know, as we're looking at the graphic, just because he doesn't score against Arsenal doesn't mean he shouldn't play against Fulham. And just because he didn't score against Fulham again doesn't mean he shouldn't play again today against North. Like, let's not freak out. He's not someone who is just going to score 50, 60, 70 goals. Like, it's okay.
And to build on what you're saying there, Colin, like when you said when he's on his game. Now, the great thing about Darwin, I would say, is even when he's not, quote unquote, on his game, all those the running he does, the pressing he does, the just those things that don't show up on the score sheet, like Stephen said before, doesn't stop. There's no stopping with that. So he's not going to throw a hissy fit that he's not getting the ball and getting shooting opportunities and therefore not doing the other things in the game. All the other things in the game are always there. And then when he gets his opportunities, he might miss them, but they're going to come again because he won't stop searching for those. So yeah, that to me, I think, you know, he unlocks us the same way we would unlock him.
Or the stats show up in Diogo Jota's, you know, stat line. Like, it shows that amount of work wears down defenses and someone will benefit from it.
It's cumulative, as you would
exactly.
say.
The way that I look at it is he reminds me very much, a quote that really rings out, and I'm not comparing him at all to this person at all, but Larry Bird said about Michael Jordan when he faced him in the playoffs, that staring him down, coming towards you, and him not even him not knowing what he's going to do is terrifying. And a person that I'd actually akin Darwin Núñez to is Brett Favre. He may throw 6 interceptions, but you'll bet your ass he's going to try and throw for 7 touchdowns. He will continue to throw and throw and throw, as Darwin will continue to shoot and shoot and shoot and work and work and work. And that has endeared him to fans all over Liverpool and to fans that actually watch the games as well. You're going to have your online trolls. You're obviously going to have all of them as well. But realistically, if you watch him, he wears his heart on his sleeve and he runs his heart out for that crest. And as football fans, we can't ask for much more than him, realistically, in that amount of effort. But we'll move on now to one of the other topics that I want to discuss, which is the fact that, hilariously, a year after not being on for the quadruple, we are on for the quadruple. So I am now going to stop sharing this. I'm going to bring up the brand again, and we're going to all go back to our normal setting again. Production value here at LFC Transfer Room. You love to see it. But the quadruple is on. And realistically, at the moment, we seem to be, on paper, favourites for Everton. We're in the Carabao Cup final against Chelsea at Wembley, Anfield South, as we'll call it. We're going into the 5th round against either Wolverhampton Wanderers. I can't remember who it was. Was it who was it? Was it Wolves and Southampton, or who was their draw against? I can't remember.
It's Watford and Southampton.
Watford. Apologies, Watford or Southampton, whichever one of them comes out, because it was a last-minute winner, and that's what has to be a replay. Thankfully, we've seen that United have found their level with League Two side Newport Town.
Anthony can score against them.
Yeah. The world's ending, guys. Everybody, go do the lottery. Go tell whoever you love that you love them, because in 24 hours there's a big comet going to hit the earth because Anthony has scored a goal. We're all fucked. But we're also through to the last 16 of the Europa League final. I feel that our biggest competition in that competition will be Bayer Leverkusen, who probably are now in the run into the last couple of months of the year going to be focusing a little bit more on the league in the Bundesliga rather than maybe they won't, but I have a feeling that they'll rest players more for the league games than they would for the Europa League games, if that makes sense. It's an interesting one. And obviously we're sat at the top of the Premier League table. So odds on favourites for everything as it seems so far. Rigo, I'll come to yourself first on this one. Is it possible? Can we do it? Can we win the quad? Even though it's technically a quad with an asterisk beside it because it's not the Champions League, but winning every competition that you're in that season, you can only play the teams that are in front of you. It still is a massive achievement, and it's something even City didn't do. Or United.
I would say we're as prepared for it as possible compared to the last time we went for it. As I said earlier in our broadcast, this is by far, in my opinion, the deepest, most talented team that Jurgen Klopp has managed as in Liverpool. And we're getting contributions up and down the squad. And with that being said, all this experience that they're gaining will help us lift some hardware this year. I think at this moment, we're favored in 3 of the competitions. I wouldn't consider us the favorite for the Premier League just yet, at least in everyone's eyes, just because we all know how Man City just become this complete death machine towards the end of seasons and reel off 19 wins, 18 wins, or go undefeated during that stretch. And obviously, from the first whistle of this year, we see where the refs stand, not only for Man City, but also on our side. So, I'm prepared for a few more questionable decisions by the PGMOL that might skew things yet again in favor of those who wear blue in Manchester. But we're as deep as ever. We're receiving contributions up and down the squad. I mentioned it in our group chat that Mohamed Salah, and we barely mentioned him. I'm not sure. It's the first time I think we've heard his name on this broadcast. And
yeah.
Leading into AFCON, we might have been a big concern as to where the goals are coming from, but you haven't heard a peep yet besides his injury since he's left. I think him going has, in a way, has been a blessing because we're seeing guys now with minutes to show what they can do, building relationships on the pitch, playing in different positions, and the top, the 3 attacking players now just interchange. On any given possession, they'll just shift from one side of the field to the other. So I think that, along with the contribution we're receiving from our youngsters and the positional versatility that we are showing from Trent moving from defense to midfield and a bunch of other players shifting positions, we're armed to the teeth, I think. And yep, I would consider us favorites, but in eyes of all the pundits, I say 3 out of the 4 were considered favorites, but City still favorites to win the Premier League.
Yeah,
I think the next few games is going to be what determines our rankings in terms of the Premier League, because we've got Chelsea and then we've got Arsenal. We win both those games, regardless of what City's doing. I feel like that confidence that will just galvanize the team to be even more confident in the league, because then we've got City at home, which will be the last big game for us in terms of the title race. So. Yeah, I like what you're saying. I agree with 100% what you're saying when it comes to, and what you're saying, Stephen, about us being favorites for all 4. I just feel like we just need to get out of this week coming up. Chelsea on Wednesday. I think Arsenal's the weekend, or not the following week.
Yeah.
And then it's just gonna start booming for us in terms of bringing the confidence level in it. The Europa League. Again, agree with what you're saying when it comes to Bayern Leverkusen being the second favorites in terms of just how dominant they were. I mean, they won all of their games in the group stage. I feel like I want to have Bayern Leverkusen maybe in the quarterfinals, semifinals. Maybe that could be a starting point for Xabi Alonso just to come and spectate the Anfield crowd, especially on a European night. Just give him a little bit more emphasis to come through us. But yeah, and it's not only that. It's not only about Salah not being there, which is a great point. It's also about the depth in the squad, because if you look at the stats again, it shows that the contributions coming off the bench is much higher than anyone else, and much higher than some of the starters in some of the Premier League teams. So it shows that there's an all-around understanding of how we want the game to be played and how we want to succeed. And I think that's just a testimony of how Klopp is, really showing that he is the best manager around, and he has the best squad around. So it's just it's going to be exciting. Yeah, I feel like it's going to be an exciting year for us. It's going to be a beautiful send-off for Klopp. We get through Chelsea, we get through Watford. Hopefully, we get City. I do want City in the next round of the FA Cup, just so we can get them out the way. And then, it's the games are there for us. It's stacked for us not to 100%. to lose it.
I agree. I have a feeling that, as Rigo mentioned, 3 of the 4 competitions are kind of ours to lose at the moment. It's an interesting outlook on everything, considering I feel if we're still ahead of City by the time City has their double game week, I think in week 26, which is only 4 game weeks away, that is. I feel if we're still ahead of them at that point, we can start thinking about winning the league. And for us to go from scraping Europa last season only for the guts of a massive turnaround in the second half of the season, that to turn it around and then go and win the league the following year, Jurgen Klopp should win every award under the sun, and should be nominated for every managerial award that he possibly can to facilitate and actually. And especially with how many of the youth players have come through and have fit in seamlessly. And it's the biggest compliment to say we didn't miss Trent today against Norwich. Bradley came in and filled that role perfectly. We didn't miss McAllister in midfield because McConnell came in and played fantastically there. Not saying those players, McConnell and Bradley, are better than Trent and McAllister by any means of the word, but it's fantastic when your role players and your youth players can come in and fill in the roles like that fantastically. Colin, just before we finish up, I'll throw the same question to you. Is there a competition that you feel we should be focusing on individually, or do you think that we have a legitimate opportunity to win it all? At what point do you think the Premier League is there for the taking, or will it come down to the very last day for you?
So, and I'm basing this opinion on how we have, or how it appears to me that we have approached starting lineups and substitutions in cup competitions. Which is to say that we have played the best available lineup while trying to consider people's minutes. And like at no point have we played like a full lineup of kids, and I mean like kids, the academy players who like don't have any appearances for Liverpool, or don't, like truly like 18-year-olds. We've played like exclusively guys who start or have played a lot of minutes for the first team. And based on how we are getting healthy at the moment, I don't think that there is anything that we should focus on right now, as we said, more so than others. I think we should take every game as okay. Like some of the minutes today were definitely with an eye to this Chelsea game, definitely with an eye towards the Arsenal game, shortly after it. But other than that, it wasn't like we're not playing this person at all because we know we have important games coming up. It's like if we can get people rotated and we're up a few goals, like that's fine. Like let's rotate people, manage the minutes where we can. But like I wouldn't be in favor of like, really taking people out and placing the eggs all in one basket unless we're up, unless we're 9 points clear and we've got like 5 or 6 games left in the Prem. If we're 9 points clear and we've got 6 left, I you know what? I don't care about anything. Like play the best players.
Until it's
Don't-
done.
It's
Until
okay.
guaranteed. What are you talking
Yeah.
about?
Yeah, just like literally play none of the kids. But until we get to that point, like I play the best team that you can managing minutes.
Yeah, it's kind of just at that point. Fuck it, we're in the home stretch now.
Yeah.
I'd rather give my all and go out with an injury at that point. Touch wood, it doesn't happen. I have fingers crossed that it doesn't happen for anybody, and we end the season with everybody healthy, of course. But it's kind of like the last quarter of the Super Bowl. You're like, fuck it, put me on pain meds. I'm getting back in there, coach. That kind of a way.
Literally.
It's an interesting one to look at. But guys, we've just hit the hour mark, so we are going to finish it there. I want to thank everybody for joining us, contributing in the comments, and liking and subscribing. If you haven't done so already, please do make sure you do. Help us reach our 10K goal and have your notifications on for all future videos. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and Jen as well for your £4.99. It is absolutely always appreciated, and you are an absolute star, and we love you very much. Guys, from myself, from Rigo, from Colin, from Chad, thank you guys so much. We'll see you again tomorrow at 7:30 UK time. Appreciate everybody, and I hope everybody has a wonderful end of their Sunday.